Joining us now from ABC News is Brad Garrett. Always a pleasure to have Brad on the show, ABC News crime and terrorism analyst. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, Steve.
Nice to have you back. All right, so the Hunter Biden situation yesterday, he ends up pleading guilty when he thought he was going in to accept the deal. Obviously, the advance on this was that it could go either way, and it did with the judge. Is it normal to have a plea deal agreed upon before and then it blows up in court? Does that happen?
It does happen. Judges have the final say. And I think, she was actually just being thorough from the standpoint of it's not clear. I guess it wasn't clear to her, and maybe it's not clear, period. Does this plea agreement grant him immunity from other potential violations, like some of his foreign investments or influence in foreign investments, et cetera, money he got back from foreign governments? And the U.S. attorney, who was a Trump appointee, who still is the U.S. attorney in Delaware, said, no, it doesn't cover that. That's still under investigation. And she had some issue with the constitutionality, but she didn't further define, at least in court, what that meant of the plea agreement. That has something to do with his rights. I don't know. But the point being, it's a bit of a stalemate. I think they'll sort it out, and it will go on. But this whole issue of Hunter's work overseas in Ukraine, China, other places, the Republicans obviously are investigating that on the Hill.
So this is, from your viewpoint, it sounds like this is a fair ruling by the judge based on what the judge seemed to know, because as you know, as soon as this was announced, both sides went to their sides. The far right went to their side screaming, the far left went to their side screaming. This appears to be normal court processing. It just is such a high-profile case. It looks like it's something unusual.
I think that's right. Like so many things, Steve, including the allegations against Hunter Biden about some of his dealings overseas, and the allegations that his father, the president, who was the vice president at the time, received some sort of financial gain. I've not seen anything to support that, but that's certainly what the drumbeat is at current.
Has the White House commented on it yet?
I don't think they have. I mean, all I ever hear from the White House was, from Hunter's parents saying they're just very supportive of him. To your question, I haven't heard him say a thing about, this plea deal not working, at least yesterday.
Look, anybody that's been a parent of a child or an adult child who has an addiction problems, God bless you. I know from this with my brother, and it's a very difficult position to be in. Having said that, you're the president of the United States. The rules are different for you. And the president of the United States and the first lady, in my opinion, the support for your son should be something that all of us understand. However, what I'd like to hear from the president and the first lady is, we want a full adjudication of this. We want there to be a full court hearing of this, and we want this to be figured out publicly and judiciously, because that's what the American public deserves.
Right. And you may or may not hear that. I think, that sort of cuts both ways. I think the more he talks about it, the more other folks will dig in and say, see, he's trying to push through the system and perhaps circumvent more serious charges against his son.
It goes back and forth, right? Because I think Biden has the worst comm shop I've ever seen in my lifetime as a president. He's done a lot of things that are really significant and really worthy of recognition and make a true difference. Having said that, his comms people can't seem to get out of their own way, and he certainly has difficulties that he didn't have in the past in speaking to those issues. That's the politics side, and the politics side gets intermingled with this. If there's any evidence, and you said it, there's none that we've seen, that Joe Biden profited somehow from his son being a complete S-storm of a mess, then the American public needs to know that. But guys like Representative Comer and others stepping up going, oh yeah, this is the biggest crime we've ever seen. No, it's not, because you have nothing. Until you have something, you don't have anything.
They're hanging their hat to some extent on sourcing. And let me tell you, I have never investigated a case where I just relied exclusively on sources. They can guide you in directions. They can be critical in getting pieces of information, being involved in conversations, but they all tend to have a twist to them, and they have agendas as to what they're saying and doing, and that's why you have to go behind them. That's the whole idea here, is that the FBI and the Justice Department for years have been investigating Hunter Biden, who have access to documents, bank records, emails, things that they can subpoena, people they can interview. And after all of those years, we know now what they've charged him with, which are none of these violations that have been made about influence peddling with foreign governments. It's gotten distorted, of course, like it shouldn't have, but typically does day in and day out in today's environment. But we'll see. But this seems like a lot of smoke when there's not a fire. And let's face it, the children of presidents, President Trump's children, were actively involved with foreign governments while he was president.
And beyond using the extension of the power they had while he was in the White House, if you want just one reference, the Saudi deal with Jared Kushner. So, peel the onion back on both sides, and let's just continue to see what happens here. But it feels like a colossal waste of time in the big picture to keep spending money on this when there's so many other issues to actually deal with, which make a difference in people's lives. The importance of the court hearing this and moving forward on this comes down to the calendar of the court now. When will they revisit this?
I think fairly soon. Judges tend not to let this stuff hang. My guess is she's probably given date markers to both sides saying, I want to see another document, I want to see clarification, and we'll have another hearing. I would think with just in a very few weeks.
Anything else, Nick? Jane? You guys good?
No, I wanted to know the 30 days when they circle back and meet again in court.
Right.
And continue to spend some more time doing it. Well, do you think the judge will ever accept a plea deal, like the future dates?
I think so at some point. Now, she did make an interesting comment, and I'm not sure exactly what to make of this, that she wasn't sure that she could abide by probation. So, if you look at what he's charged with, the tax charge, nobody gets charged with misdemeanor tax charges.
Right.
You pay your back taxes and you go on. If you fight them, if you move the money, if you hide it, that's a whole different story. And even the gun charge is not that regular, of people being charged just because they have an addiction problem and they purchased a firearm. So, I don't know. There's a lot of unknowns in this particular situation.
And the only reason you know those is because he's Hunter Biden.
No doubt.
So, thank you. I appreciate it, Brad.
You're welcome.
That's
Take care, Steve.
Brad Garrett at ABC News.
Wouldn't you argue, though, that, you lied on your application to buy a firearm? That's a felony right off the bat.
Well,
and that's a federal
He
felony.
ought to be in Chicago because he would be in jail tonight, not tomorrow.
Well, that's right.
Yeah.